Right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Jaa Taa. This week's Jaa Taa discussion, of course, coming in on Monday as usual. Again, recording on Monday, sorry. Uh, a day late, but it helps us cover a few more matches. Once again with us today is Fardin Kibriya, Alvi Islam, and Shabir Hossain Sagar.
Sagar looks like
So,
he's in a different planet. He's like so far away from the mic.
And the lighting and everything. Yeah.
Sagar, let's start with you.
Hmm.
Which game would you prefer to start? We basically have three T20I series going on, and I think those are our main topics for now. Which one would you like to start with?
Uh, we can start with the India Afghanistan one because that's I think the most high profile game
High profile.
In many sense,
in
yeah, you're
many
right.
in many ways.
Yeah,
Yeah,
many ways.
Rohit Sharma getting double ducks and stuff like that.
Double ducks,
Kohli's
right?
comeback, Pandya, no Surya Kumar Yadav. Many things to talk about.
So Sagar, let's start with that. Rohit once again getting to captain. It almost felt like he wasn't going to get a chance to captain in the T20I side again unless Hardik got injured. And inevitably, as always, Hardik did manage to get injured. Rohit comes in. First one you can say was unfortunate. Second dismissal looked very, very ugly.
Yeah.
Bad signs for the Indian legend.
Uh, I think he's not in the right frame of mind to be, as you mentioned, he wasn't expecting to be T20 international captain. Due to a couple of injuries, he was thrust into that position. He might not even be in the squad. Who
Yeah.
knows if those guys were fit? But yeah, I think if you see his demeanor, the way he's talking and stuff, he is getting more agitated with his players, especially in the first dismissal. He was like cursing Shuman Gill. Thank God Gill did not curse back. But yeah, I think the second game it was very it was very ugly in the second game. He should have taken more responsibility. Maybe it was a flat wicket, short boundaries. He could have just settled and gone big to just silence the doubters. But yeah, some worrying signs for the management.
I think as openers, usually if you get a duck the game before, sometimes openers like to, get a couple away early. Like stay in your crease and get a couple away. But with Rohit, charging Faruqi down the track on what was almost like a nothing delivery, but it was just at a good pace. It was he dropped it short, but it was at 146, I think. So he kind of got beat for pace, and yeah, like Shagar said, he's looked out of sorts in this series.
But Gibbs, speaking of openers, Jaiswal almost confirming his spot for that T20I opening slot of the World Cup.
Yeah, I think he's definitely uh, ahead of the pack right now. I think one of the things that they talked about in the IPL was his power, and some of the short balls that he's playing, he's actually playing them like so late. It's almost like they're in front of his face, and he's generating power from that place to get it over the rope. So he's definitely looking in really good shape. Don't see why he wouldn't go to the World Cup. But India, funny things have happened. Funny people get dropped on IPL form. So God forbid if he had to have a bad IPL, next thing you know, Rajat Patidar is opening at the World Cup.
With two back-to-back match-winning performances for Shivam Dube. Not only is he batting exceptionally well, he's also bowling, something we haven't seen from him in the IPL recently. But in the early days of his international career, he was bowling quite frequently. He was filling in for that fifth bowling role. A bit of a healthy competition for Hardik's position, and maybe India
Hmm.
could slot both Hardik and Shivam Dube into the same
It
11.
depends on if Hardik is even fit. That's, I guess.
Yeah, I was gonna get to that. I think Hardik not being fit is sort of the expectation or the given at this point in time. So I think because they need that sort of fast bowling all rounder option. They saw how Shardul Thakur didn't really have a great World Cup. So now they need to find somebody else who can sort of play that role. Shivam Dube, this is I think his second coming, and it's pretty good compared to when he first made his debut against Bangladesh in 2019 in
Yeah.
the series where Naeem Sheikh also made his debut.
Two legends at the same time.
And Naeem Sheikh somehow scored the 80 odd by mistake. So I
Biggest
think
curse in Bangladesh cricket.
Shivam
Zero
Dube.
foot movement between both of them. Like you could combine them and it'd be the same.
So the fact that he's come around and he's sort of worked on his game, and at the right time as well, because it's when Hardik is injured. You can't have, let's say, you have Shivam Dube performing when Hardik is already in the team and he's fit to play. He's missing out. So I think the timing of him peaking, sort of, coming back into form or sort of finding his feet in international cricket is perfect for him to get a slot in the World Cup. As for Hardik, I still think if he does come back, and that's a massive if, but if he does come back, like you guys said, Rohit, his captaincy and his inclusion might be very, iffy. You
Yeah.
can't really guarantee him a spot.
Yeah.
But as things stand, and the way Hardik Pandya gets injured, and then he's out of action for like, let's say, five, 6 months
6 months.
at a stretch. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Some people say the guy, like when you saw the video of Rohit popping his shoulder back after he dislocated it, and then the people were saying if that was Hardik, he would have retired. So I mean, I don't see him
It's
coming back
faster.
before the World Cup. But if he does, and then they do play both Dube and Hardik, who misses out?
I think the Indian T20 World Cup squad selection would be the most complex because so many players out of form, so many
Yeah.
players not in the squad due to injuries,
Yeah.
so many players performing in their places.
Yeah.
So who do you drop? There must be some upset
And
players.
that's why having the IPL essentially right before the World Cup, basically puts a lot of people, some players, in a
In contention.
disadvantage because
Okay.
you could have a bad IPL, right? But you've had a really good international season, and you're thinking going into the IPL that I'm confirmed for the World Cup, and you kind of relax a little, and you have a bad IPL. It can happen to anyone. But then you get dropped for like some random dude who comes and scores like 350s or 350s in a row, or scores 100, and he's striking at 146. And this is like a template that we see with India, because that's how Dinesh Karthik came back. That's how a lot of other guys made their returns. Varun Chakravarti went to a freaking World Cup out of nowhere. Right? Rahul Chahar was at a World Cup out of nowhere. um, but one of the main things I think that Alvi mentioned about Shivam Dube was, this is his second coming, right? And he said that a big part of his second coming was actually Mahendra Singh Dhoni and his influence at CSK. And we know the kind of influence that Dhoni has on players and the mentorship that he does provide. And this is a bit off topic, but I think if Mustafizur being at CSK, if he does not come back with anything from MS Dhoni, like he should just retire. Like if MS Dhoni can't help him get back to like 2016 Mustafiz, there's no one else who can. Right? Like it's impossible.
Mustafiz just needs a slight push from MS Dhoni to go to the next
Again,
level.
well, one more elbow, yeah.
To go to the next level.
Yeah,
Well,
because
but
like
it's funny that you mentioned that. Like
yeah,
the World Cup selection, Ajit Agarkar, the current chief selector of India, mentioned that the IPL is going to have a very, very little impact
yeah,
on the
that's shit.
squad that he selects, which
We-
we've seen that never works out well.
yes. Mhm.
The ODI World Cup team ends up depending on the IPL
Yes. Yeah.
performances. Then how do you expect the
He's just
T21
to,
to have any
just
impact?
to say a good thing to the media so that people won't talk about it. Just, just to get rid
Exactly.
of it. But they will do what they will do, and focus on the IPL.
Ideally,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
ideally, if I was a selector, or if I was in a position of power where I could make these decisions, I would tell 18 guys, 20 guys, maybe a group of 20 guys, I would just tell them, you're good for the World Cup, right? Like, we'll pick our reserves, we'll pick our whatever. From this, go play the IPL, enjoy your time, whatever it is, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, have fun. We re- we reconvene at NCA, whatever it is, we go for the World Cup. You, I mean, like, it's obvious. Unless someone has a crazy season where they score 1,000 runs, there's no point picking someone based on a tournament form, right? Like it doesn't make sense. Like we've seen Azam Khan is getting picked based on tournament forms, and Azam can't even score like 5 runs in international cricket right now. And I was one of those guys who actually backed Azam Khan massively to come back into international cricket because of the form I saw
in the BPL.
no, like
CPL,
just
PSL.
CPL. He
PSL,
was
CPL,
exceptional,
everywhere.
right? Even GT20, he was really good. We saw him live here. Just overall, I just thought like he's doing exceptionally well. Why shouldn't he play? And if his fitness is not an issue, that, like the way they keep saying it, then there's no reason he shouldn't be playing. But then, like he's towing it to long on, long off. Like what is going on?
We're going to get a lot more into that Azam Khan issue when we talk about the Pakistan New Zealand series. But for now, another possible problem with the IPL. See,
Yeah.
Shivam Dube in his 20 T20I international appearances has bowled 18 times,
Mhm.
versus in 51 IPL appearances he has only bowled 13 times. And we've spoken about this, the whole you know super sub situation doesn't help. And even before that, IPL doesn't seem to be prioritizing producing all rounders at all.
They just
Even
want
there
to
were like a
prioritize,
couple of
like,
seasons where
yeah,
Hardik was playing as a specialist batter. Can you
yeah,
imagine? India's
yeah,
premier all rounder.
yeah. No, the thing is, who said this? That it took the all rounders out of the game, the super sub rule or like the impact player rule. Someone
I
said
think
this.
there were many
This is
people who
one
said it. Like the
Yeah,
general consensus was that, but yeah, some player or ex-player said that.
yeah, yeah. Like the thing is, Ambati Rayudu coming and batting and then just sitting down, like it doesn't help anyone because
Also, is this cricket?
40-year-old Amit
yes,
Mishra
exactly.
coming in, bowling four
Just
overs and
Yeah,
disappearing.
then
but
going to find leg and
but how is
like
this cricket? You're just like doing one role. You have to do three roles. You bat, ball, field, everything you have to do. Right? You're just batting and you're leaving the pitch. That's it.
You see 45, 50-year-old uncles at club cricket doing more than this, man. Come on. Like,
it
we're
just
asking for
doesn't
the bare
help.
minimum here.
Like honestly, but I think overall, if we're looking at this series, I guess the other question is a couple of guys that have made it to the team on IPL form but have done well on international cricket, and this is open question to you guys. Anyone can answer. Is how does India selection choose between Jitesh Sharma or Rinku Singh, or is it you take both? And KL Rahul when he comes back, what happens?
Here's a small issue. With Ishan Kishan gone and KL Rahul currently still out of the scene, it's a big, very big risk to think about dropping Jitesh Sharma right away.
Yeah, massive. Yeah,
And
and
I
I
don't think
thought the
India
whole
expected this problem.
yeah sorry like I thought this whole T20s team was supposed to be surrounded about Ishan Kishan at three and stuff like that. Like what's like, like I don't know what's going
They realized that having Ishan Kishan at the top would basically mean a guaranteed sacrifice of either Rohit or Virat Kohli. And I don't think they're mentally ready for that because they've seen the backlash that they're facing when they try something like that. And another problem is Jitesh and Kishan at this point aren't your most reliable keepers either.
on.
Jitesh messed up the other day in the second
Yeah,
T20I. Kishan has messed up a few times against Australia, and I'm not saying that I'm judging them based on that. I'm saying overall, neither of them have been as reliable as KL Rahul. KL Rahul with a bad and broken back has somehow managed to be India's best all format keeper right now.
yeah. No, I mean
Sagar,
yeah.
your take?
Once Sagar, where would you play KL Rahul if he comes back?
For me, I think Gitesh Sharma has not done enough with the bat to cement his place as Rinku Singh has done in several occasions. So for me, that's if there comes a situation where I have to choose between the two, for sure Rinku is ahead. He's
Yeah,
proven in many different conditions against different oppositions. Secondly, if Rahul comes back, I would go the classic way and pick him instead of Jitesh Sharma. And the reasoning also is similar, as Rakim already mentioned. He fumbled, he messed up a few times. And also, he has not done enough with the bat in the international circuit to actually show that he belongs.
Yeah.
Like, given that he hasn't gotten as many chances as Rinku Singh, that's true. But still, the last game,
Yeah, he had
there
a
were a few
huge
runs to get,
platform there.
maybe
Yeah.
15 or 20 runs to get. He could have easily got them over the line with a couple of boundaries and, just rotating the strike. He went for the glory shot, second ball,
Yeah.
ugly dismissal.
Yeah.
So, yeah, these things I think people see, the selectors will look forward when choosing the players, right? Like Rinku Singh has a sense of responsibility. He stays there and then he tries to finish the game.
Yeah.
So these are the small things.
But I think the
Another
real
possible comeback for Dinesh Karthik.
Please.
or somebody else.
Dhoni.
He will end all of India's problems single-handedly. Captain,
Uh,
see,
one last
batting,
ride.
keeping, finishing, whatever.
Why
Whatever.
not? Why
You
not? Yeah, one
everything.
last ride. Yeah, I think the main toss-up isn't really between Jitesh Sharma and Rinku Singh. It's more like between Jitesh Sharma and KL Rahul, because Rinku Singh at this point is sort of a mainstay. He has to play regardless
Yeah.
of who he's playing, in place of. Jitesh Sharma was like a band-aid solution for this series until they get a keeper back. With Ishan Kishan, I know he had this whole episode with mental issues and going to Dubai and whatnot.
Yeah.
I
It's
still
not
feel
helping
like
his case.
I still feel like if Jitesh Sharma doesn't do enough before the World Cup, they could, if KL Rahul isn't fit by then, I think Ishan sort of slides back into the team, but he's going to have to bat where the team needs him to bat as opposed to the team batting around him at three. So I don't think India have to be too worried about who they're taking as their keeper because Ishan Kishan is sort of out due to disciplinary issues like Bijoy to
Yeah,
some
even though
extent.
they said it's not disciplinary, but
Yeah, of course.
you know how it works, right?
Yeah.
Like yeah. Like
So they've already got a backup in Ishan Kishan, and then hopefully Rahul is back. So I don't think Jitesh Sharma is going to the World Cup regardless of what happens.
So are
But Rinku
we
Singh,
excluding Sanju Samson, who is currently in the squad for the Afghanistan series? He's also a wicketkeeper batsman.
yeah, but they're not playing
So
him.
what do you think about that?
he's an
Why do they
IPL
find
batsman.
ways to exclude him? I don't even get it at this point. Like, see, we're not
Or
even talking
rather,
about
why
him
do
right
they
now because
include
they
him?
always exclude him for before the World Cup.
Or my question is, why do they include him if they don't want him to play in any games? Like
You could say the same
he,
for Bijoy.
They want
Vijay
him
got
to
his
play
chance
just
in
as
the
long
New
as
Zealand
that's not
team.
the priority. Like they drop him from the ODIs just before the World Cup. They bring him after the World Cup. Same with T20s. They play him up until the ODI World Cup. After the ODI World Cup, they decide that no, you're not a T20 player anymore.
Samson is
It's a
like
joke at this point.
Samson is like Nafis Iqbal Khan, but for India.
My man, please stop. I cannot keep calling you out on these weird analogies, my man. Please stop.
Bro's lost it.
Lost it.
Bro
He's
lost.
completely lost it. Desperately trying to string Bangladeshi players into every conversation.
This is why I joined this show, Jaa Taa, just to see Rakimul lashing out.
My man, I don't even enjoy this. I don't even enjoy lashing out at anyone.
Oh, bro.
Anyways, I think we've pretty much discussed most of the topics surrounding
Any
India.
highlights from Afghanistan's efforts in
Slowly
the two
going to
games?
Afghanistan, yeah. So
I think,
Afghanistan definitely
yeah,
Gulbuddin Naib, a talking point.
Surprisingly,
Yeah.
yeah.
Big
the
Gulbadi.
spinners disappointed badly. I think they couldn't live up to the expectations in the absence of Rashid Khan, especially
No.
Mujib and I think Noor Ahmed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone's been talking about, oh, why does Nur Ahmed not play regularly? Why is he? Because I didn't think he played the first game, right? He only
He
No.
played the
didn't.
second game. And in the second game, he went for what? I forgot.
Everyone
I
was
think he went
like
for like more than 10 and over, right?
expensive. Yeah. Everyone was
Yeah.
over
So,
eights, nines.
and
Mujib was
didn't
good in
really,
the first game, but in the second he was horrendous, straight up horrendous. And
do you guys
Nabi
think?
doesn't even look like a bowler anymore.
Oh, bro, Nabi is just getting like the one where Yashasvi came down the wicket and sent him over the straight down the ground. I was like, the ball didn't even turn. What the hell? Like this just like went straight.
And that's been his problem for a while now. His
Yeah.
deliveries don't turn. They absolutely don't grip, don't turn.
Right
He just
arm,
goes straight with the arm.
right arm straight. Mehdi Hasan
Arm
Miraj.
straight.
Muhammad Nawaz. Who's comparing Bangladeshi players now?
We're
I
sitting.
mean,
I'm
yeah,
just waiting for it.
Mohammad Nawaz is a more accurate comparison, even though he's left arm. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But I think Ibrahim and Gurbaz are very good opening
Oh
Yes.
yeah,
combo
yeah.
for Afghanistan. Solid.
Yeah.
But they need to exclude Rahmat Shah as soon as possible from that squad.
How did he even get into the T20 side all of a sudden?
He's a
What is
legacy player.
happening with
He's
Afghanistan
like Pandav
sometimes?
Kota, but for Afghanistan.
Where's
But how though?
yeah,
He wouldn't even qualify for that by most
No,
standards.
he only plays because he's like a senior statesman, for the ODA side and
You
everything.
have Nabi, senior statesman. How many do you need in
Yeah,
this
yeah.
T20s?
So they've got two
Last year?
Pandavs. They've got five.
Najibullah is pretty senior as well, so like
No,
how many do
Gulbadin
you
is
need?
senior. Gulbadin was captain of the ODI side.
he's not that senior. Like, Rahmat Shah and Nabi are Asghar Stanikzai senior. These guys were
yeah, yeah, yeah. They've been playing for years and
like
years.
for before we were born.
Yeah,
He's now 19 or something. Like,
yeah,
and
What's
when we say Afghanistan 19, we don't mean 1919.
Afghanistan's batting lineup seems very flexible. I mean, like after the openers, Rahimo.
Yeah, and unlike uh, any other team, Bangladesh, they're not randomly jumbling around. By flexibility, it's more along the lines of they actually know that they can make it work by changing their positions around.
Yeah, no, because Azmatullah batted at three the other day. Actually, didn't do too bad, and but then I guess in the situation they were in the second match, they promoted Gulbadin and to hit 57 of. I mean, this guy was batting number eight a
yeah.
few years ago.
Even Najibullah has the same similar role as Gulbadin or Gulbadin or Azmatullah. He can also
Yeah,
bat anywhere. He's a destructive batter,
yeah.
and they have good
I think
options
they'll
actually on
always
the
pick
bench.
Najibullah for that number 6 or lower position because
Yeah,
that's what they feel comfortable doing with him.
Yeah, just like that finisher or someone to, if they lose 3 wickets in the power play or something like that, just someone to hold the ship uh, through those middle overs. So,
But one thing's for sure, like a lot of the experimenting, while it's not getting them wins right now, you can see that there is a bit of confidence in them in the sense that they're not too worried about losing games right now. They're trying to get the best possible combination and the best possible uh, plans ready for the T20 World Cup because they know
mm.
they have a very, very good chance to make that top eight and see what happens after that.
Which group are they in? Afghanistan.
Group C, that's New Zealand, West Indies, Afghanistan. Other than that is Papua New Guinea and I think Uganda. Yeah, Uganda. So they have a solid chance.
yeah,
Given that West Indies is a weak team.
No, but West Indies at home are very strong.
Yeah,
So
West
West
Indies.
Indies
Oh yeah, they're at home. Yeah,
is
they're
the
at home.
strongest, I think, in that group in those conditions and in the form they're in right now.
New Zealand are
Yeah,
in decent form. So
it
it's going
will
to be a
also
very
depend on who makes themselves unavailable for the World Cup all of a sudden because in West Indies these things happen all the time. But I don't think Shimron Hetmar is gonna play.
no. He again got dropped.
Like,
So I think Rutherford is going to take his role up now
Yeah,
permanently.
yeah.
So
I
that
like
should help.
Hetmeyer the way he plays aggressive and stuff, but
yeah.
maybe the off-field issues or the fitness issues, I don't know. Those kind of things prohibit
Still a
his comeback.
fantastic fielder, so I would think the fitness issues shouldn't come
Yeah,
in all that much.
he's been a good player since his under 19 days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Since he debuted
World
against
under 19 World Cup winning captain after all.
yeah.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on Naveenul Haq underperforming basically in both the T20Is?
I think he's a little bit pissed off his contract didn't get
He's
and NOC issue didn't get approved. Just looks like the Naveen Ulaq we saw in the World Cup, where he was like he meant like he wanted to be there. He meant business. He wanted to create an impact. I'm not seeing that. And maybe this is because it's a bilateral series or whatever it is. But he's gotten famous for his exploits in T20 cricket around the world in franchise leagues. So to not see that experience come through, especially in a series like the India series, where they would hope he has a lot to do for them to create any upsets. So from that angle, yeah, definitely quite low from him.
I think we've pretty much covered the India Afghanistan series, and let's go to, dare I say, the more interesting series of New Zealand Pakistan. In both the games, New Zealand putting up a score that seems to be just above par, even though they struggle on their way there, losing wickets due to their pretty lack of batting depth, to put it nicely. And Pakistan, being Pakistan, give a glimmer of hope to their fans every now and then they manage to capitulate. First of all, Pakistan's bowling that's been struggling for a long time now, and that's probably the reason they haven't had a win in a very, very long time. Sagar, you want to start us off on that?
Yeah, I think Shaheen Afridi being the captain is a contentious call in the first place. Secondly, I think the bowlers, Shaheen, a lot of things depend on Shaheen's ability, his experience to guide the bowling lineup. And I think Imad Wasim, guys like Imad Wasim, Shadab Khan, they were the sort of players who were the rock in the Pakistan bowling lineup over the period where they were, winning games for fun in the T20 international circuit. So I think they are a big miss. Also, the newer bowlers, New Zealand conditions, short boundaries, and not using their brains for bowling. Finn Allen, every game, Finn Allen's coming and hitting them. They're bowling same. They're feeding him. In 2 overs, in New Zealand are in both the games or whatever games they played, 30 for no loss, all because of Finn Allen. So I think there needs to be a tactical change, strategical change in the bowling lineup and how they operate because it's like cruising for the New Zealand batsmen. They know what they're facing. There's no mystery or there's nothing new for them. It's just right arm straight.
And the quicks are rolling 120 and blaming the speed guns.
Maybe the Dil Dil Pakistan wasn't playing.
That wasn't loud enough. Yeah, that's the issue.
And then Usama Mir as the lead spinner. It's just not working.
Actually,
My
he was going good in the BBL. I saw like Big Bash League. So,
bro,
any thoughts on
BBL is
why?
like,
No, yeah, but any thoughts on
with
why
all due
it's lower
respect to
than this?
BBL, end of the day, it's a lot of Premier cricketers, right?
Yeah,
It's a
Basically,
lot.
Premier Cricket. That's
Yeah,
all it is.
like because there is such a big disconnect between domestic cricket and Premier cricket. Uh, a lot of guys, like unless you're a Josh Brown who's freaking built to hit sixes, a lot of guys struggle when they come in and they have to live up to that, pressure of. I mean, Nikhil Chaudhary was a cricketer in India. He moved to Australia, so you can't say he's a great cricketer doing well because he was a professional cricketer who moved to a different country. Um, but I think the problem with Osama Mir is I think we discussed this in one of our chats is his action is too slow. Like his momentum to the crease, his releasing of the ball. He bowls obviously. He's not bowling at a speed that you would see like a Ravi Bishnoi or a Chahal bowl at. He's not at that speed level either. But I think the biggest issue is he has a lot of limbs moving at the same time when he's bowling, and it just gives the batsman a lot of time to play him. And in international cricket, it's just you get found out. We saw at the World Cup he was next to like not effective at all, right? At the World Cup, and you could say Pakistan's chances of making it to the semis were hurt by his dropped catch against Australia. Um, but yeah, it's a shame that Shadab's fallen so far off in the last year or so. I think we can all agree he was an exceptional player when he first came into the scene, but to have such a fall from grace, and he was a T20I vice captain, I think, at one point too. Um, it's unfortunate. Maybe Usman Kadir back again.
If he has a good BPL, yes, why not?
Speaking of players with the Nepo tag on them, Azam Khan, bit I don't want to say bit of a disappointment, but he actually, believe it or not, he actually had fans backing him, and then
Mhm.
the whole catastrophe happens. his international career just not taking off at all, and he looks completely out of place. More than his batting, it's the keeping, because you can't field him anywhere else. He's a very decent keeper in any Premier League you'll see him in, and then he comes in over here and he just looks a complete mess. How do
Is
you?
it pressure of expectations, or is it? I don't know what it
I
is.
think it's just quality.
Yeah, I
Like
think
he's
it's
just
just
Also,
quality of players changing.
also, keeper is a very specialist position. So, don't you think the best keeper in the squad, in the team, is fielding in the outfield, and Azam
But
Khan is
but
keeping?
it's like what Rakimov said. How where are you gonna field it?
No, no, that's what I'm
Rizwan
getting
can
to.
field,
No,
but
that's what
Azam
I'm
Khan
getting
can
to.
field.
If the best keeper and one of the best batsmen is in the outfield, and Azam is not performing as expected,
You drop
then
Well, you have to play
is
Hasibullah
there
at that point.
any place for him in the squad? That's my
No,
question.
no. I think they've taken 18 or not 18, 22-year-old Hasibullah on the trip, right? Young kid, left-hand bat, wicket-keeper batsman. Um, you know, I would almost give him a go in the in the third game. Not last game. It's a 5-game series. In the third game, because you've given Azam 2 games, and you could say, oh, on any other day, that second ODI, the one he got out, he gets a better piece of it and goes for 6. But I think unless they have done a thing with Azam where they've told him that he can play this whole series, and if he does well, he will have claim on the spot. Unless they've done that, then they I mean, if you've taken a youngster, you might as well give him a chance and see how he goes.
See, does this also throw around that statement which we've seen, fans and analysts and everyone mention countless times, that at the end of the day, physical fitness does matter, and it's one of the most detrimental factors in Azam Khan's lack of performance.
আমারে জিজ্ঞেস করলি নাকি?
No, 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 no. There is no specific reason why I'm asking you. I'm asking you because you play cricket.
No, no, it's a good question to ask him. He can speak better. Personal experience. He's a good player.
I didn't say anything about personal experience, but sure, go ahead.
I think except there is physical fitness, and I don't want to sound hypocritical when I say this. As big as I am, Azam Khan and Rakim Cornwall are like Amar Tindobol to start with.
No, we're not comparing you to them.
No, no,
No,
no, no,
that's
no,
not
no,
what we're
no,
saying.
He's
no.
comparing. He's
I am.
he's
I
he
am.
is.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there. The thing is, with fielding, it's not about, you know, it's not exactly about how fit you are. It's about getting to the ball. So with guys like Rakim, you see, even Rakim, he usually feels he has to be hidden in the field somewhere. He's not going to be in the hot spots. I'm in the hot spots, even with my fitness. I mean, not my fitness, my physique. Let's say my fitness is better than my physique. So I am fielding in the hot spots. But with guys like Azam Khan and Rakim Cornwall, if you have to hide them, then that's a liability. So I don't think it really comes down to your performance in international cricket. Depends or is determined by your fitness, but fitness definitely does play a massive role. I've noticed in the past couple of weeks, because it's been really hot now. It's summer here, and I've been seeing myself getting really tired. After batting, let's say an hour and a half. So the issue here is that's where the fitness comes into play. If you need to play a long innings and if you need to stay in and if your fitness cannot sustain you, that's where you struggle. But if you're fielding for a T20 game, 2 hours, and not even fielding, even if you are fielding, if you're fielding in the boundary, you're going to get a maximum of 6 balls coming your way over the 2 hour period. So that means 6 explosive sprints at the maximum. The other ones, the ball's coming to you, you just sit down, you pick up and you throw back. That's it. It's not a lot of work. You're just on your feet. Keeping, on the other hand, is more intensive because you have to be, squatting and then getting back up,
120
chasing the ball
balls
around,
plus extras. Yeah.
running back to the stumps and back to your mark. So keeping is actually more, has more strain on your body than fielding in the outfield. So if they think if they're doing Azum kind of favor, or if people think, oh, he's keeping because he's not fit or he can't sustain himself in the field, it's the exact opposite.
Mhm.
Keeping is more hard work than fielding. If he's able to keep and then bat, ideally, then I think, okay, you can play him. But the way things have been, and it might seem like that his sort of keeping might be taking a toll on his batting. If not actually, like if he's batting first and he's still doing poorly, he knows he has to go back and keep, and that can sort of play on his keeping as well, like the poor batting in the innings before that. So altogether, if he sort of has this, this cloud of, fitness above his head throughout his, throughout the game, whether it comes to batting, fielding, and
Hmm.
keeping or whatever it is, if he's worried about that he's starting off at a disadvantage, if he is, then that's obviously gonna, it's gonna be a self-fulfilling prophecy for him. But if he can put that aside, and if he can sort of come to terms with that's where his limitations are, and I don't think for somebody like him and somebody with the sort of caliber he has in his betting that we've seen,
Hmm.
I don't think his fitness or his physique is an issue for him, at least with his batting.
Right.
With the keeping, it might be, but then that's where the trade-off comes in for the team. Do you want to sort of risk his poor keeping for his, for a better batting performance, or do you play it safe and you drop him altogether? It really depends on what the team management wants.
Yeah, I think the selectors have done a good job of picking him due to his good performances in the other leagues. So he's been given a chance to prove himself. So yeah, hopefully he can prove them right. Otherwise, they have another keeper, a 20-year-old in the squad, Hasibullah. Not
Yeah.
very good, like not very good as in he hasn't been exposed to the franchise circuit, but they have someone in the wings.
Yeah, I think he's played
Disappointing
for
that
Zalgiris.
Mohammad Haris disappeared
Bro, he's
so
like
early.
making Instagram stories and putting up quotes and stuff
What
because I
happened?
think
What
I
happened?
think I think he's been hard done by because he hasn't done anything wrong to get dropped. Pakistan as a team hasn't done well this year. I mean, not last year, right? Relatively, but Harris, I think in the
Underperformed in
limited
ODIs
opportunity,
mostly.
yeah, exactly. In the limited opportunities that he did get, and also in PSL, he looked good. Like he's a fearless batsman, someone who is ready to risk his wicket for the team's sake, and take the bowlers on. And you need those kind of guys in the power play. So for him to not have that kind of an opportunity, longer run, confuses me because if they're inviting guys like Ahmed Shahzad for post pre-series camp, but Harris is sitting out like because Ahmed Shahzad freaking like a generation ago at this point almost, right? And if he's still relevant, I don't see why Harris can't be relevant.
Coming into New Zealand now, and Finn Allen, we mentioned his success. Devon Conway did underperform a little. So does that strengthen Tim Seifert's case, even though Conway, since his debut, has been one of the most successful international players for New Zealand? But
Hmm.
does that sort of create this healthy competition between the two wicketkeeper batters?
They will never drop Conway.
Yeah, I don't think.
Impossible.
Also New Zealand has a habit of not tinkering with their squad very much. Also, given Conway's previous record and his exploits in the ODI World Cup in the ICC tournament, and his loads of experience, I don't think Seifert would go ahead of him.
Seifert's essentially acting as backup now, and since Conway started keeping like full time essentially in T20s, um, they have gotten a bit of you can say luxury with how they pick their teams. Like
Yeah, they can pick
they're
more
playing,
bowlers.
they're freaking playing Adam Milne at seven, like Adam Milne is batting at seven, right? And it's a big luxury to have when you don't have to select seven batters in a T20. And you might say that one day it might go really bad, but it puts your six guys or six batters in a really powerful position where they have to take that responsibility and play well um, throughout the series or tournament or whatever it is that they're playing.
a bit disappointed with Chapman and him having a bit of a. I don't want to say he underperformed too much. He sort of had a good cameo in the first game, but again in the second game we're back to seeing the Chapman we have been seeing for a few months now. Uh, Talk about him batting out of position again.
I mean, with Chapman, I think he's been nominated for what T20I Player of the Year or something, or T20 Player of the Year. Uh, I wouldn't get too early on it, but I think with Chapman, the biggest problem is, like you said, is there's bit of inconsistency that creeps in, and once he gets a couple of low scores, it starts to pile up. So we saw in the Bangladesh series too. He had maybe one game that he did well, but then the other games not really. I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts?
Just the first ODI he did well, but then
Yeah,
the other games he sort of couldn't take off.
yeah,
In whatever games I've seen him batting, he most of the times he comes into bat really late, like in T20s at the death, because the batsmen above him have done so well. So he has like 10 balls to, showcase what he can do. And
Mhm.
in most of them, I think he has done enough. Like he has the aggressive intent to score boundaries, like hit sixes. So I think, yeah,
I
as
mean,
we
he's
mentioned too early,
competing with Nisham, so it makes sense, right? They have
yeah.
seen
But
something.
Chapman doesn't bowl, right? So he has extra
Yeah, I
pressure
know.
from.
Which is weird because he used to bowl much more frequently with his left
Yeah.
arm spin,
Yeah.
especially during his time at Hong Kong.
But would you replace somebody like Anisha for anybody at all? That's my question.
Valid question.
Because we've seen Nisha missing out games in the World Cup as well. I know it's a different format, but somebody like Nisham is, you know, Bangladesh would sell an arm and a leg for a guy like Nisham. What do you think? Yeah.
No, the
Yeah.
problem with that is New Zealand have a lot of Nisham-like players,
Yeah,
like
like
Adam
even
Milne.
Josh Clarkson.
Josh Clarkson, Adam Milne even batting at 7. So this means he has the ability to bat.
Yeah.
So
But right now,
also,
no one's performing as well as Nisham would, right?
yeah, I'm just saying the mold.
The
There are
mold
players
is,
like him
yeah.
that they can pick. Like even Doug Bracewell, right? In internationals, he batted I think number 8, number 9. For
Yeah.
his domestic side, he bats number 5, number 6,
Yeah. Yeah.
which means the fast bowlers have the ability to bat in New Zealand.
Even Logan Van Beek, I saw that day in the Super Smash, he scored like 41, betting at number 7 or something. It's crazy.
Yeah, and considered like 35 in 5 balls.
Yeah, I wanted to keep that out, but yeah, that is true.
Babar Azam sort of looking like he might be coming in back into form, at
Bro,
least in T20Is. That's a good sign for Pakistan.
just tell him to become a match winner where he actually finishes the game and doesn't just get out before the game finishes.
Yeah, 50 is easy for him, but getting the team over the line is what the team needs. Everyone knows he can
He
score
has
50.
done in the past. He just needs to
Yeah,
find a way to get that back.
yeah, he and Rizwan both need to click together, especially in this transitioning team, I would say, because so many players coming in, so many players going out, they need to have better responsibility.
Yeah.
Alvi, wouldn't it make sense then to just go back to opening with Babar and Rizwan again rather than sneaking Sam Ayub in?
Yeah, what's the whole point, Sam? I mean, if you've got things, why fix what's not broken? You've got Rizwan and Babar. I don't know why Rizwan is not keeping it all. I mean, that's my first question. So,
And now
Yes,
Fakir's
Fakar
batting
as
all the
well.
way at
Fakar batting
4.
number 4, 5.
Yeah, like,
yeah,
freaking,
it's,
like,
it's,
it's too
it's,
much.
it's crazy. They're doing too
Yeah.
much, yeah.
Yeah.
If you've got solid guys, I know Fakar is very hit and miss, but he's better than the new guys, I would say, at least for now. So
Yeah.
you go with him. Fakar is still very young, so you play Fakar, you play the other two guys, and then if you want to experiment, you experiment in the middle or not at the top. You need solidity. You need like a strong foundation at the top. Then
Yeah.
if you've got these three guys, even if Fakar is playing 3 or even if Babar is playing 3, I don't think it really matters too much because they'll give you a solid start either way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we can move on to our last topic of the day, which is Zimbabwe, Sri Lanka.
See you, Shagar.
See you guys. I have to run for
Thank you
some work.
very much, Tagore.
Yeah. See you next week.
All right.
Oh, okay. So with Sri Lanka, Zimbabwe, I think it's important to cover the third ODI first because that was after our last week's show. Basically, Wanindu Hasaranga making a
Bro,
grand comeback with a 7-wicket haul,
that's too much, man. Like, honestly,
reducing Zimbabwe to 96 all out.
I once I woke up and I saw that and I was like, There is no way this is real life. Like, what is even going on? Uh, but I think Zimbabwe's top order is too weak. I don't know how Milton Shumba was batting at four. Like, the limited time I've seen Milton Shumba play, he has not in any way looked like an international cricketer to me. And you could say the same about Wellington Masagadza. Like, I feel like Wellington, like, this is controversial, but I think his brother is like director of cricket or something right now in Zimbabwe, Hamilton Masagadza, and that's kind of why he's playing, maybe because I was looking at his record and stuff like that, and it's not that exceptional. And I was seeing on X, people are basically bashing him on threads and stuff, where they're like, "There's no way this guy deserves to play." So I mean, yes, but um with Hasaranga, is it too early to say he's back to his best?
I mean, for one thing, he's captaining, and
Yeah.
I'll be his. If I'm not mistaken, this was his first T20I as captain, and he wins it for Sri Lanka, despite getting a diamond duck. Well, sorry, it was a silver duck. He did perform well with the ball. He wins it for Sri Lanka. Good confidence booster for the new captain.
With Hasaranga, we've seen him. He's always been sort of knocking at the door, not for captaincy, but for a leadership role or for a marquee player sort of role in the Sri Lanka lineup.
Mhm.
I think what they've been missing is that all rounder, but not only an all rounder, but somebody who can take the game away with the ball. And he's just shown that on his return. Being captaincy, I think to someone like him, it'll give him more confidence as opposed to like being more of a burden because we saw in the Lanka Premier League last year, he was doing well for his team. I think it was Candy, where Angelo Mathews came back, and he even went out to bat with I think on one leg in the last game he played before he injured himself for the World Cup. So you can see he's got that leadership role, and he's tactically very sound. So I think besides his own performance, just him as a captain for Sri Lanka is the right way forward, I believe. And just building off of that, what you said, confidence booster. I think he's always had that sort of confidence about him, even before captaincy,
Just
before the
yeah.
Lanka Premier League. He has that charismatic sort of, I'd say, that character you can call it. But with Wanindu Hasaranga, it's not like a lot of other players. It's not, you know, attitude 100%, performance 0%. It's actually
Yeah.
with him, his performance backs his attitude. He can walk the walk, he can talk the talk. He's doing
Yeah.
what needs to be done, and I think that's what Sri Lanka has been lacking for a long time now. We know they've got great players, and we know how Sri Lanka they've sort of fallen pretty far from the tree when it came to their legacy players. But
Yeah.
now with someone like a Hasaranga and what he brings to the team, he can sort of galvanize the team and take them in a direction they need to go. At least starting with the T20s and then moving on to one days and whatnot. Speaking of Hasaranga and his brother, who is now in Bangladesh for the BPL, why do we let these guys sort of just walk up and play, take our money, and then talk shit about us?
I have no idea. Like the lack of a sense of maturity in a cricketer to talk about a team like that when you're coming here to play. It doesn't even matter. You don't have to come here to play. As a professional cricketer, once you do that, you're crossing a line that should be punishable, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He
100%.
he's played more professional cricket in
In
and for
Bangladesh.
Bangladesh than
Yes.
for India, for
And
Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka guy. Yeah. 100%. Like, I think it's just we give some of these players so much of a platform, so much of a leeway that if we made this kind of platform for our players,
Hmm.
our local players, you talk about one Habibur Rahman Sohan who's come out of first division cricket or whatever, and he's playing pro cricket now more so. There are many other guys like that who just get lost to the system, and because they don't have a Said Sami Bhai type of character to support them all the time, you know, that's the reality of it. It sounds shitty to say, but that's the reality. Is he basically burned the door down, talking about Habibur Rahman Swan's performances everywhere that he could, and eventually, because of the kind of following he has, because of the kind of reach he has, or the shows he's hosting, etc., etc., it will catch people's eyes, right? But a lot of other guys, unfortunately, don't have that, and there are a lot of other guys like Ovishek Das is playing second division cricket, and
Man won us that
man,
Women under 19 World
under
Cup.
19 World Cup, and he's captaining a team in second division cricket, whereas we have Chaturanga de Silva, who probably doesn't even play as first choice when all the first choice players are available for his domestic side, is coming to Bangladesh overseas player for the BPL, which is our big T20 tournament.
Rishad last season in 2023 wasn't prepared enough, wasn't ready enough for a season of BPL. And
Hmm.
a month after that, he makes his international debut. And
Yeah,
then he eventually even makes his ODI debut, I believe.
yeah.
Like, how ridiculous is that? He goes from being not ready for the BPL to playing international cricket. That's a joke.
No,
Surely he was
it's
ready for the BPL.
100%. Like, I think the thing is, and we'll discuss this more on our BPL show that's coming up, but it's a lack of, scouting. It's a lack of knowledge of the game. You ask all these owners, they don't know any of the players in the cricket circuit. They know the captain. The captain has six or seven guys that he likes. They pick those 10, 12 guys, local guys. That's it. And then the rest of them is their unlimited slots of overseas players. Someone's coming today, someone's going today, someone's available for 6 days, someone's available for 4 days. Unfortunately,
Someone's here for one game.
yeah, for one game. Unfortunately, we have not gotten a talent for Bangladesh cricket out of the BPL in 13 years, 12 years, something like that.
Bro, these franchise tables at the draft are full of their star players, the local star
Yes.
players sitting
Yeah.
there and picking the
Hmm.
11. See, it feels like like it looks good sometimes. We enjoy it, but it
Hmm.
also feels like a conflict of interest to have those
Hmm.
players sitting there and
Yeah.
picking players who they have a good relationship with instead of who they think
Tamim
would be the best.
Iqbal is playing in the same team as Tajul Islam. Like,
I
are
was
we
just about
dumb?
to say that. I was
Are
just
we
about to
dumb?
say
Like,
that.
we're not stupid,
And
right?
that team
Like,
did not need a left arm spinner. They already had Rokibul.
yes, right? Like I wasn't born yesterday, right? Like, we know what's happening. We're not stupid, right?
And
And
I think Mushfiq got, he drafted into that team this year only
because,
after Tamim
yeah,
was given
after,
captaincy.
yes, and Shakib left
What?
that team now.
Yep.
Oh, captaincy, no, he was given like, a marquee
Yeah,
player or whatever.
Marquis,
Senior
yeah,
player thing. Yeah.
senior
Yeah,
player,
yeah,
yeah,
Icon player.
yeah, like,
Okay. So
yeah.
I think we're gonna have to skip the BPL discussions for now
yeah.
because
We'll
that's
skip
gonna
that.
distract us
We'll
too
keep it
much.
for the, yeah,
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 yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do tune in to our Facebook page. We are gonna go live with the BPL preview, and we'll be back here next week with a Jaa Taa discussion covering a lot more of the BPL. Alvi mentioned a very good point about Sri Lanka needing all rounders. So far, in the T20, in the first T20I, it was absolutely crucial that the two all rounders, Mathews and Shanaka, stitched that all important partnership. The game was completely slipping away.
Yeah.
They come in with their partnership, they basically win it at the end. Even though when Mathews got out, it looked like it was once again Zimbabwe's game. But
Yeah.
blessing Muzurambani, man, as much talent as he has, he's not a thinking bowler at all.
No, no. I
I'm going to go
mean,
more into that later, but the importance of Shanaka and Matthews performing both with the bat and with the ball. They didn't pick up any wickets, but both of them having overs, 2 overs for 13 runs, covering that fifth bowler slot together. How
yeah,
important is
I
that?
mean, you think about where Shanaka was, what, 2 months ago, where, like,
Where he still is, having just
yeah,
lost the
just
captaincy.
lost the captaincy, exactly, right? But it looks like he's done some work on his batting, which is great to see. I've seen some minute changes in his batting where he looked like he was using his body weight more and things like that. Um, so he looks like he's done that. But the thing that you mentioned about that all rounder role, and Angelo Matthews said people had agenda against him, which is why he wasn't picked for white ball cricket. with selectors and stuff like that in the last few years. But
They should
honestly,
drop him
since
again.
it's huh,
They should drop him again.
I mean, they can't drop him if he's doing 2 overs, 13 runs in the power play and scoring 46 with the bat. There's not much to go off. But yeah, I mean, this is what you were expecting from maybe someone like a Sadira
Muhammad
Samara
Amir,
Wikrama or
Muhammad Amir, Harimad
no,
Wasim.
no, no, no.
They had like
No,
a
we're not going into
legendary.
Pakistan
We're
anymore.
not going. In
No, no, I'm
Pakistan, you
talking
can't
about. I'm talking
expect
about the
anything.
agenda. The agenda.
Oh, the agenda. Oh, yeah. No,
Yeah.
no. Those guys have a whole different agenda. That's why
Different
they have
agenda,
the.
very
That's
different
why they
agenda.
have their own TV show to talk about the captain and how bad he is.
Their ones are ugly. It's all behind and it feels
Yeah,
like backbiting almost. But with
yeah,
Matthews, it's more upfront. And
yeah,
Mm.
props to Matthews for one thing. Even with the whole timeout saga, he was more upfront about everything.
yeah.
Nothing from the behind.
No,
As
and
bad as that sounds.
whatever he wanted to say, he said it to the camera, right? And or on his social media, like straight up.
And his
He
brother.
didn't hide behind anything. But Nuan Tushara, IPL deal, BPL deal, but 4 overs 43. What's happening there?
Like Amir Jamal. My bad. Won't go back to Pakistan again. Just one last time.
Like, man, yeah.
No, but we
Honestly,
also know for a fact that he's a bit raw, just like Patirana was. Patirana underperformed before his IPL success. He underperformed even after his IPL success, right? So sometimes franchise leagues have these things. They find these gimmicky bowlers of sorts and they make them work, which
what
international
was
cricket often can.
Tushara's returns like in the LPL? Was it good? Did he have a good LPL or
I
was he
wouldn't
more?
remember that on top of my head. I'm gonna
Honestly,
have to check.
I just feel like he's played a lot of T10, and T10 is just a hit or miss kind of thing. It's just
But so did Patirana though. Like that
yeah,
that's also
yeah,
what got Patirana into the whole mix, right?
yeah. I just feel bad for Sikandar Raza. He does everything, and end of the day,
See,
they just
this is
send him.
our next topic. Sikandar Raza, 5 back-to-back T20I half centuries for a team that's constantly losing. Like, on one hand, we should appreciate and talk about his achievement. On the other hand, how his team is consistently letting him down.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the quality of players in their lineup. Uh, Aside from him, like it shows with Engarava and Muzarabani not stepping up the way you want them to. And I think Brad Evans is unavailable. Wellington Masakatsa is playing because he's the director's brother. Um, you have a lot of gaps in the squad, and you can see that. And the way Raza said after that first T20I that this has been the story of Zimbabwe cricket for a while. It shows his true emotions, and unfortunately, you can see why Uganda made it to the World Cup and they didn't because these are games they should be winning. Where Muzarabani is coming in the last ball, 2 runs needed, and he's just bowling nothing. Like what was that last delivery? It was like
You've
a nothing.
seen that the slower balls worked well against Matthews. Why did you think it'd be a good idea to bowl short to Chamira? You don't need to
Like
get his
it's
wicket.
like nothing exactly. Like I don't know. And is he going to like with 2 runs to get? Is he going to try and hoik you to a deep extra cover or something? Like it's not gonna happen. Like he's not gonna move away and high elbow and
Virat Kohli
like
over the top of the
it's
bowler.
like
Yeah.
like what the hell? Just go for the Yorker or go for your change of pace. Fox him. Simple. You have to outfox him in that situation. If you don't outfox him in that situation, like it's a number 11 batsman or number 10 batsman, right? And almost looks like he gave up before he even delivered the ball. He was like, game's done, whatever. Screw it. I'm
Like
going
it's
in the
like
BPL.
it's a number 9 who can bat. Jamira, to give him credit, I've seen him bat at number 8 a few times for
Yeah,
different leagues and stuff. I
yeah.
get it, he can bat, but
But it's a pressure
uh,
situation end of the day, right? And like
it was Muzur Ambani's game to lose, and he did
he
exactly
did
that.
it,
He
yeah.
let it slip. He really needs to blame himself.
Is he playing the BPL, Musrabani? No, just
Is
Engarava.
he available? I don't think so, because he has
Well,
league contracts all over.
we will find out.
We'll find out. We'll find out. We'll find
And
out
we'll
when the games take place.
Outside.
Honestly, it's like there's no way of
Exactly.
telling who's gonna
Yeah,
come and who's not.
because you've got players like Amir who say, "Oh, we'll play the BPL," and then they pull out last minute.
oh yeah, Amir did say he was gonna come, right? And then,
No, no, no news
yeah.
of Maxwell and Trent Bolt as of
Oh
yet.
yes, yes. What
No, no,
happened to that? Hmm. Oh, Muzarabani is Dubai Capitals, so no, he will not be at
SA
he's gonna
T20.
be playing with David
IL
Warner,
ILT20.
ILT20. So I think, gentlemen, we've covered pretty much everything for now. I mean, we don't really want to get into the SAT20 and the Big Bash because, briefly, Fardin, Alvi, briefly,
I went
both
to the Big
leagues
Bash on Saturday
have
night.
felt a bit soulless, particularly the Big Bash.
I went to the Big Bash Saturday night, and I went with four other people, and I think the time we spent, sort of talking to each other was more interesting than the game itself. That's more than
Yeah.
enough.
No, honestly, they try their best to promote some of the local players, but I think the way they're doing it is not really helping. In a sense, it's too long of a tournament. Number one. Number two, they did shorten the games, but I think the Sydney Smash had 48,000 people. But those are the particular games because there is like David Warner
Even
coming.
the one that I went to, Melbourne Derby, had like 42,000.
Yeah,
That's the most people I've seen at the Marvel Stadium ever. Other
yeah,
than that, most other games are not even 10, 15,000.
yeah. It's like
Melbourne Derby always gets the crowd,
it's
as
the
Fardin was
derbies that
saying.
will get the
Also,
crowds, right?
also because Finch was retiring, so
Yeah. So like I think the biggest thing for the Big Bash is they have to promote the first class players, the list A players, right? Because when you bring so many unknown players into the lineup, Paddy Dooley doesn't even play list A cricket. Peter Hatsoglu doesn't play list A cricket, doesn't play first class cricket. You can only like all the other T20 leagues that happen, fan following grows because people, if Alvi's from Melbourne, right, a keen Victoria cricket follower will know who are the 16 guys that have played first class cricket for Victoria this season, who are the 16 guys who have played the Marsh Cup. You can relate to the team a little. When you have random dudes popping up every week from great
great
cricket,
cricket.
it's not really helping, right? Like, and I think there are some guys that did play great first class cricket this year that didn't have a BBL deal. Someone like a Joel Curtis from Western Australia, amazing, amazing batsman, and he's playing great cricket right now for whatever reason. Whereas he could have had an opportunity right now to play because look at how Fraser McGurk's come back to the scene. Went to South Australia, hit 100, started playing, this aggressive brand of cricket where he's scoring 40 runs of 25 balls in 4-day matches, and everyone's going, oh, Fraser McGurk's doing something. Comes to the BBL, still going off. His fielding's always there. People can relate, one, two, three. You can start connecting stuff. Random. If I pull up randomly from great cricket one day, it's not really helping. They don't know who the hell I am.
Even the thing here is that if you look at the lineups and you look at the sort of players you actually know and you've heard of, there's maybe 3 to 4 players a team that you've heard of. Like even in the IPL, if you see these new guys, you've actually heard of them. You know who they
Mhm.
are. You've heard of them in the Ranji, or you've heard the Commi say something about them. Something you've heard of them
Yeah, like
somewhere.
there is some kind of memory to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
In the Big Bash, you see 7, 8 guys who you've never heard of in your entire life.
Mhm.
Why am I
Even
even here?
after
One day.
following the Big Bash for years.
Yeah.
Exactly. The Big Bash is basically they've done all the technological advancements, innovations, everything. The stumps now are gorgeous. I love the stumps. They're from far away. They're
Yeah.
yellow and white and pink and purple. They light up whatever. When the wicket falls, it's like they flare up with fire. It's
Yeah.
all good. spider cam, mascots and rovers and whatnot. Everything is perfect. But the thing is, you're missing out the main ingredient. The cricket is not interesting.
Yes.
Everything
Yeah.
else supporting it is good, but the main course itself is not good enough. You see,
Yeah.
I mean, they've basically taken the IPL and sort of squeezed all the glamour and the fun out of it, and it's sort of become, like you said, it's grade cricket with people you don't know, and that's you lose the essence. That's the main problem. You see, you've got all these great grade players, but they shouldn't be like these grade guys. They shouldn't be the highlight or the main event of your games.
Yes.
You should have at least guys who are playing in the, like you said, national team, or at least list A players who people have heard of and they know. So when they go to a game, they're not like, who's that? Some guy asked me, there was a guy who was playing Tom Rogers,
Yeah.
and this guy asked me, oh, there was a player who used to play ages ago, Chris Rogers. Is this his brother? Like, I don't even know. Why is that even relevant? I
And
mean,
the most confusing thing is there is the Tom Rogers in one team, there is a Thomas Rogers in one team. It doesn't.
so the, I think the Big Bash has sort
Neither
of,
of those are related to Chris Rogers, by the way. Just for
yeah,
clarity.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I think they've missed a trick and they've tried to over glorify their grade cricket, which it needs to be done, but everything has its place. Grade cricket's place is up to Shield cricket, let's say, for
Yes.
example.
Yes.
That's where grade cricketers or domestic cricketers or up and coming guys, they get their sort of WrestleMania. For them is Shield
Mhm.
cricket. For them it shouldn't be the Big Bash. For the Big Bash, I mean, look, they drafted in somebody like the guy from Netherlands, Scott Edwards.
Got it.
And as good as a player as he is, he's the captain of Netherlands and everything, and he plays great cricket here in Melbourne. He was playing for Altona a couple of weeks ago. Altona is the team we played in Division 6 last year, and it was the semi-final between us and them. Us batting first, we scored 96. There's a video of me getting bowled behind my legs, and it's gone viral. And
But
it was my
the
team.
worst part is
Semi.
everyone in the group chat tuned in to
Yeah,
watch this
exactly.
guy play, and he just got bowled around his legs.
And then so we get bowled out in the semis against Altona for like 90 odd. And then Altona, they're sort of, they're chasing it down, everything's all good and dandy, 55 for 2 after 17 overs. I come into ball after drinks and we get them bowled out like for 96 as well. So we've tied with this team on a semi-final. I've gotten what, 2 or 3 for like 16 runs off 7 overs. And Edwards was playing for these guys this past season. And so
Yeah.
it's sort of, I know it's like how we say cap in Bangladesh. He was
Yeah.
playing cap for them.
Yeah.
But then this guy, he gets a call up to the Big Bash. And, with all due respect to Edwards, he's a lovely guy. We met him, last year at the T20 World Cup and everything. And he's a utility cricketer. But these guys like Edwards, they shouldn't be playing the leagues that I play in. I mean, they should not even be close to it. They're so much
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
Ideally, he should be playing Shield cricket, which I think he may be.
Yeah.
Even him playing Big Bash is good. But what I'm trying to say is, him playing Big Bash and
After playing for Altona doesn't make sense.
exactly,
Yeah.
and not only that, excuse my biasness, if he's getting a Big Bash contract, why shouldn't guys from more guys from Sri Lanka and Bangladesh get contracts? They've made more of a contribution to their national team, and they're arguably better players than him,
Yeah.
you know, with all due respect. So these guys definitely need to be playing Big Bash ahead of someone like a Scott Edwards. It's only because he plays great cricket here he gets to call up for the Big Bash. Not taking anything away from him once again. But the issue here is you're playing players just to glorify your domestic circuit, but you're sucking the fun out of the whole thing. You're sort of ruining the
Ideally,
game
the
for everybody.
BBL should be in September, October, right at the start of the Australian season.
Yeah, okay, yeah, why not?
Right.
You've got a
Because-
Isn't it more
rainproof
difficult
stadium.
with the weather at that time?
You've got a rainproof stadium in
No,
Melbourne
you have a
where it rains
rainproof
the most.
stadium in Melbourne. You
Both
can
Only
play
Australia
at
and Melbourne, and
Darwin.
one in Sydney as well. Yeah,
Yeah, you
it
can
only
play.
rains here in
Yeah,
during winter. In
yeah.
Sydney, it's always sunny. Sydney, Queensland, Perth, these
Queensland.
places are scorching hot.
Yeah.
So you can play there all
You
year
can
round.
play at Darwin too. You can spread the game in Northern Territories too. And
In Sydney,
Test
we've got
players will all be available. ODI players will all be available, and you can
everyone's
actually
there
have a
to
good
play.
tournament, and it
Exactly.
doesn't collide with any other T20 league at
And
that time.
it builds up to your Australian summer of cricket. Players
Exactly.
are coming in. They're
Ex-
instead of a preseason, they're playing a big ass tournament,
Biggest
getting ready for
tournament.
the preseason. And
Exactly.
all and it's an open secret. In the Big Bash, all the national team players they come and play to have fun. They
Yeah.
don't take it seriously.
No.
So if you put them in that sort of have fun environment before the summer, it gets them in the zone coming into the summer, and they're ready to
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
So Big Bash, I think we need a Shakib interview with Gulf for Big Bash as well. Fix to fix up the
Fix the
window
big.
and everything. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you need to get international players in to engage your international audience. You've got to get screw India. You've got to get. I know they're getting a couple of Pakistani guys now, and they're sort of hedging
The,
their bets
yeah.
on that.
Yeah.
Get a Sri Lankan guy in. Get one or two Bangladeshi guys in. Get some English guys in who actually play for the national team, not rejects like Tom Curran and Vince and whatnot. Get decent international
No,
players who
fair
are known
point.
in the
Very fair
circuit.
point. Yeah.
So what are you trying to do? Like Faf played last year for the Big Bash and he's gone.
Yeah.
He's not even here this year. The
that
only
was the
international.
SAT20.
So okay, fair. But I mean, even De Kock, it's like it's become the Bangladesh Premier League. De Kock comes in, plays 2 games for Melbourne Renegades, and he's gone back for the SAT20. Big Bash is nose diving and it's nose diving real fast. So yeah, it's on life support to be honest.
On the other hand, we have SAT20, which again, with the IPL
Unnecessary,
franchises coming in with their how many?
unnecessary. Who
Unnecessary.
needs
Yeah,
a
I mean, look,
SAT20?
with the IPL franchises coming in, they invest a good amount of money, and that gets them a lot of foreign players and the best of the best South African players, even if that means that the A team or a very, very reserved team gets to tour
In New
New
Zealand.
Zealand. But here's the thing. Look, I know it may seem silly, but when you tune in and you have teams like Sunrisers Eastern Cape, Joburg Super Kings, Durban Super Giants, MI Cape
You want to
Town,
throw up.
Pile Royals,
My Cape
Pretoria
Town.
Capitals.
Mumbai
Yeah,
Indians,
first of all,
Cape
yeah.
Town.
I mean, I might as well just watch the IPL, man. Why would I watch this?
I might as well watch the corporate, league on T Sports happening at Boshundhara Kings Arena instead of the SAD20. What's the point?
What is this discount IPL that you're making me watch? What's the
And
point of this?
the thing is, the thing is, they're making every. Did you guys hear? Um,
The T10 IPL?
JSW, or the team that owns
Yeah,
the
yeah,
company
Delhi
that owns
Capitals.
Delhi Capitals, they're planning to buy Hampshire in English County.
Why?
If why
Do they want to be the next Mark Cuban?
Hampshire Capitals? Like, how stupid is that going to sound?
ওই যে বলে না সুখে থাকলে ভূতে কিলায় টাকা গাবাইতেছে দ্যাটস দ্য প্রবলেম ওইটাই হইতেছে
gotta put the money somewhere. So এখন হচ্ছে ঘুরে বেড়ায় কোথায়, like, even if they market the county cricket to market, like, as if it's a business now too, like, it doesn't help, because
they even
Vitality
wanted
Blast
to buy the
actually has good competition, actually has good players, and they're gonna send all of their freaking 4-year contract. Rashid Khan has a 4-year contract with MI. He's gonna play in MI's every tournament except for IPL. So
except for
they're
the
gonna
IPL.
send him. Yeah, like, freaking stupid. Like, so dumb.
And I think the
We're
IPL
pretty much at
guys
the end
even
of our
wanted to buy
discussion,
the
and
BPL
at
teams as
least
well.
in that regard, BPL has maintained some originality
Dhaka has maintained the most originality with a new team every year. Dhaka and
every
Sylhet.
year. No one knows. No one can actually predict them. No one can say that there is
Screw,
anything boring.
forget a franchise. Forget a global franchise with 4-year player deals. You don't even have these guys for more than one season. That's how unique we are.
Very unique. All right, Fardeen Alvi, thank you very much. It's been a very long discussion, but a great one as always. And I hope to see you all next week with more discussions about these T20 leagues and more.
And also
Thank you very
PPL
much.
midweek. Thank you guys.